Alright, so I did an initial review when I first bought my 2023 Honda Rubicon, and I also did a review video on the 2022 Honda Rancher 420. They were both bought around the same time. For whatever reason, I got the 23 model. I got it 2 weeks later than the 2022 Rancher, so they're virtually around the same amount of miles. So I believe I'm over 200 miles on it. I did the first initial oil change on it. So I'm at 224 miles. So we'll do this review for 224 miles, 33 hours on it. So my thoughts on the things I like and I don't like. I guess I'll go with some of the things I do not like. So tires. These are the Maxxis. I don't know what the size are. I know mine are 12-inch rims. You got like 24s, 25s, 25/8s in the front, 25/10s in the back. So these are 4-ply tires. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think for all-terrain vehicles, they should have 6-ply tires. First time we were out riding, she punctured one of her tires. So we did order. So you can see the rear tires are different ITP. Those are 6-ply tires. Like everything else in the world, there is a shortage. We had a little bit of a mishap with a rock. It ended up bending the rim, so we're currently waiting for the one new front rim so we can put the ITP 6-ply tires on the front of hers. Mine, I just ordered a spare set of tires and rims, so I'm not really concerned about getting ITP mud tires for mine because I have a whole full set of rims and tires. I haven't had any problems with flat tires with mine. I ran the air pressure lower when they come from the factory. They're set at 10. Not a big fan of that. So I lowered mine to 6. Haven't had any problems. I've been on some pretty rough terrain. So that is the number one thing I'm not a fan about is the 4-ply tires. I guess manufacturers cheap out. Don't know why, because they keep increasing the MSRP on these, but it is what it is. So aside from the tires, the other thing I'm not a fan of is handlebar grips. As you can see, I put a different set of handlebar grips on mine. I can't remember what they are. If anyone wants to know, I'll send you the link in the comments, because you can tell the stock grips have always been the same. I had a 1988 Honda 4Trax 300, same style grips. These are much better. You don't slip. They're much more comfortable. So did not care for the grips. Other thing I do not like is the fuel tank on this is 3.9 gallons. I personally have liked it to be like closer to 5. Depending on how hard you ride, how hard you beat it. I think 60 miles is the longest one-day ride I did on this, and it's pretty close to a full tank of gas. I did install a long haul fuel can on here, so I'm not as concerned because that's 1.3 gallons. So I have a little 5.2 gallons of fuel, so I feel much better with that. So I do kind of wish they would have put a larger fuel tank on here. Everything else I really don't have a complaint. Storage, I mean, obviously you can see we added storage bins on both of ours, so that kind of worked out. But initially you have that little back compartment, your owner's manual's in there and your little toolkit, and then you have this little compartment here. I have hand warmers in there and my dust mask, and then you have this little compartment up there, that's for my winch. So storage, wish they could have done more. I think Polaris is, the whole front rack flips up. you have storage. So some manufacturers do it. The last thing, I don't know if I don't like it or not yet. The DCT transmission, when the four-wheeler's cold, it won't. It shifts hard if you have it in automatic. Once it gets warm, it does good. I don't really run mine in automatic. I run mine off the push buttons, the electric shift, the ESP selection button over here. The only problem I've had with the DCT, and it's only done twice, I don't know if it's a Honda thing or not. If it continues doing it, I'll probably take it back to the dealer. What'll happen is you push this button in and you downshift, and that's how you get in reverse. And you don't need to be in neutral. You can be in reverse and it'll automatically shift you in reverse. Every once in a while, when you do it, it'll keep shifting, but it won't go into reverse. And it like gets stuck in that pattern. You turn the four-wheeler off, turn it back on, then it works fine. It's only done it to me twice. I don't know if it's a issue specifically with this four-wheeler or if other Hondas do it. I don't know. If anyone else had issues with that, I'd love to hear it in the comments, because that's it. Outside of that, I've had no problems with this. I have no really complaints. It rides really nice. The electric power steering is amazing. This one is electric power steering. That one is not. This is a FA 5 or 6. They have an FA 7. I'm pretty sure this is an FA 6. This is the one down from the deluxe Rubicon. The other thing, which is weird, so that's a 420. The Rubicons are 520. That starts cold so much easier. This, because we're in like 29 degree weather right now, takes a little while to start. I mean, once it starts, it's fine. But for whatever reason, that one starts so much smoother. Don't ask me why. Don't know. I mean, I would assume the engines are pretty much the same. Just the bore's probably different. So that's it. Those are all the complaints I have. You get what you get with this. This is not a 65 mile an hour four-wheeler. There's a windmill road we take where we ride up on famous Reading Outdoors, if anyone's local to Pennsylvania. I've had it up to 49 on the speedometer, and it'll cut out on you after that. You hit your rev limiter or whatever they have programmed into the computer. Initially, my plan was to put an HMF exhaust on this and get a dyno jet tuner and try to get a little more like doing hill climbs. I haven't done a hill climb in low with a lot of speed, so that might change it. I've done some hill climbs and the drive selection, and it bogs down a little bit. I would like a little bit more power. I have had it in low when I'm rock crawling. It is amazing when it's rock crawling. These are wonderful in the mud. We did get the Rancher stuck pretty good, but outside of that, I've not had any problem. I've only had to use the diff lock once on it. This past weekend we were in some pretty heavy mud because we had the hurricane weather come up through. But other than that, it got out, and that was with the Maxxis tires, which are not like aggressive mudding tires. I did the 100-mile service on it. I did not do the valve adjustment. The dealer said you can do it at the second oil change, so I'm unsure if I'm going to do the valve adjustment or just take it down to the dealer. We'll see how I feel about that. Durability wise, these are great. That has actually unfortunately been in some sticky situations and was upset twice, and you really can't tell. It broke one plastic clip on it, and I have a whole set of these plastic clips here. So durability wise, I mean, you get what you get with a Honda. That's kind of what they stake their name on. It rides great. It's great for trail riding. Love the electric power steering. I've had No issues with it. The oil change is very easy. I mean, you just pop off those center plastics. Involves no screws. You just pop it out of the plastics. The drain plug's really easy to get to. The oil filter's really easy to get to. When you're pulling the oil filter out, it's going to make a mess no matter what you do, because your feet pan or whatever you want to call it's right here, and there's no way around it. You can stuff a bunch of paper towels in there. That's about it. Other than that, the only other thing I don't care for, which I'm going to upgrade, might be too dark. I'm missing my A-arm guard on this side. So you can see the arm guards on that side. They're plastic. They're not really great. Ricochet makes aluminum A-arm guards. I'm going to get them. Protect the axle boots. I don't want them getting ripped up, and then I don't feel like bending anything, so it's just added protection. I don't think I'm going to do the Dyno Jet tuner and the HMF exhaust. I think we're going to ride these for a couple of years, and then we're going to upgrade. We're going to sell these and upgrade to a Talon eventually, a side-by-side. Trying to think. The aftermarket things I added on mine is a winch. It's a Badland 3,500 pound winch. I've used it a lot. I used it to pull the rancher out of the mud. I used it a Can-Am Maverick rolled over. Used it to pull him back over. I also used it to Yamaha RZR, I think is what they're called, the side-by-sides. He got it stuck on the pan, and I used it to winch that out. So I have no complaints with the Badland winch from Harbor Freight. Works great for me. I did not do the synthetic rope yet. I'm going to let the cable run its course and go from there. The other thing I love about these in general, is the seats are very, very comfortable. Honda did a great job with the seats. So I do like the comfort of the ride. I like where the handlebars are at. I do wish the digital screen was a little bit bigger, because they're bigger on other models. So things I added on, like I said, the winch, handlebar grips, your winch controller. I added the RAM mount for my phone, for my GPS. I added the box, and then we have the black bore box on hers. I also do have the same grips I got to put on hers yet. So that's about it for the aftermarket add-ons for this. Despite the few negative things I've said about these machines, I love them. I don't need to go 65 miles an hour trail riding on some of the technical trails we ride. It's not, you don't need all that. The independent rear suspension is wonderful. Like I said, I've had this on a double black diamond trail down in southern Pennsylvania, and I put it in low and it crawled wonderful. No complaints there. The drive to low works great. I've had no mechanical problems with it. Like I said, the only issue we had, minus the shifting issue every once in a great while, is the 4-ply tires, which again, I don't know why they did that. So that's pretty much it. I put, like I said, 225 miles or 45 miles, whatever it said, and I've had no problems. We've ridden down in Gettysburg. I've ridden some pretty difficult black diamond trails. We rode famous Redding Outdoors, Dark Water, Locust Gap, Burma, and I've taken it in a bunch of different scenarios, and it's not let me down, and it's done everything to impress me. The one thing I do like about the Rubicon is a third headlight. Makes a big difference. The Rancher does not come with a third headlight. That is pretty much the Cadillac Rancher, minus it does not have electric power steering, but that has the DCT transmission and the independent rear suspension on it. So if you are, oh yeah, and I forgot the other aftermarket thing, the long haul fuel tank. If you are looking at buying a four-wheeler, to each is their own. I was looking at Grizzlies too. before I bought these. It's just that they had such a four-wheeler shortages. They had no Grizzlies at all the dealerships I was looking at the time. They also didn't have any Hondas. And the Rubicon's really far back. I lucked out in finding this one. And when they gave me this one, the 23-year model came out, but they still charged me for the 2022 model. So, yeah, essentially, I have no real complaints. The DCT does wonderful. Like I said, it's different. This runs great once it warms up. It starts a little harder than the 420 Rancher, and once it warms up, it shifts great. Even in the electric push button shift, when it's cold, it doesn't shift right, even with the push button shift. But once it warms up, it's great. The Rancher is different. It starts much easier, and even when it's cold, it still shifts pretty good with the electronic shift. And the automatic, the Rancher will do the same thing until it gets warm. Head to head, if you're in more technical terrain or mud, obviously the Rubicon's better, in my opinion, because the Rancher does not have your diff, your front diff lock, which is this. You push the four-wheel drive button and flip it up, it locks the diff. So that in itself, but I've only ever had to use it once. But if you're in hairy situations, Rubicon's better. And rock crawling, I would obviously give the edge to the Rubicon because of the low range. But if you're talking about speed, now she hasn't topped out the Rancher. I've rode it. In my opinion, the Rancher, even though it's a 420, I believe someone commented in the last video that the Rubicons are geared lower. It would make sense because the Rancher seems like it has more top end and it has a tad bit more acceleration. So I give like the acceleration edge to the Rancher. But I mean, you're not talking about like 10 miles an hour. It's probably a 5 mile an hour difference, if that. So yeah, I have no other complaints. Like I said, the fuel tank I wish was bigger. Digital display I wish was bigger. I wish in general the manufacturers would put 6-ply tires on here. And I wish they had a little bit more storage. You can nullify that by just getting your own storage bins. So yeah, and the 12-volt power accessory thing obviously comes in handy. I use the OnX off-road GPS app. It works great. It just draws a lot of fucking power from your phone. So having that 12-volt supply, I can run a charger to my phone. That actually really helps. A Rancher does not have the 12-volt power supply. You can put one in it. The plug's right there. The Honda accessory plugs. It's literally right there. You can get the accessory harness, run it from there, and then put your hole in there. So for that, it's not too terrible. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I have no complaints on these four-wheelers, even for the few small, minute details. I think they're wonderful machines. If you're in the market looking for four-wheelers, I would definitely, either or, you can't go wrong. I mean, you get the Rubicon, you get the third headlight, you get the push-button four-wheel drive, the diff lock, the low range, and I want to say that's it. The only weird thing about the Rancher, the only difference is both these rims are 12s. The Rancher up front is 12, and the tires out back are 11. So the front tires that are on it now are the spares, two of the spare sets I got for this. Because like I said, the one rim was bent. But I don't know why they did 11s and 12s on that. But other than that, they're virtually the same. So really for the price increase, you're getting a third headlight, front diff lock. If you get the high-end Rancher, you still get electric power steering too. So that's the only difference between the two. They're both independent rear suspension, so you're really not getting too much difference for the Rubicon and the Rancher, and you get a 520 cc motor, but to be honest, you don't really feel a difference. But the Rubicon is geared lower from what I've been told. So all in all, they're great machines. I know the Grizzlies were a little bit more expensive. I can't think of the model. I can't think. The top end Grizzlies, like, I would say now they're like $13,000 before your taxes, tags, and fees. Before the 2023 model, you were under 10 grand MSRP, but by the time you're done doing your freight charge, your assembly charge, and your taxes and all that, it's over 10 grand. Now, the Rubicon 2023 models are over 10 grand MSRP to begin with. But you get that with the price increase. So I love them. They're great machines so far after 240 miles or whatever we have on them. Have no problems, no real complaints. The few slight complaints you have, you can fix it. 6-ply tires, and add a storage bin. You can add a winch from Honda if you want. I have a winch installation video, so that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to do, a 200 and some odd mile review on these, since we put some miles on these, and kind of what I feel and my opinion. There are not facts, just my opinions. I'm going to do another video on like some of the aftermarket stuff we got, some of the stuff we carry along if you're a beginner rider. In my opinion, good things to have, things that I wish I had when I first went out riding, and so on and so forth. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments on the Rubicon or Rancher, I'll do my best to answer it. I may not know the question, and I'll do my best to get back to the comments. But like I said, all in all, they're really great machines. The other thing I do want to quick add is the plastics are very easily to get scratched. Just throwing it out there. I don't know if all new four-wheelers are like that, but at least for the Hondas, they do very easily get scruffed up. So, until next time, YouTube.